Hey guys, this is Courtney from Willow's Bloom, and I am back to talk about the Aquarius full moon that's happening on August 1st at 9 degrees of Aquarius. So, I'm super excited to talk about this one. It doesn't hold too much energy, but I am excited about the energy that it is holding because it seems to be generally quite positive. So, let's go ahead and break down basically what a full moon is. So, the sun is in Leo and the moon is in Aquarius, and they are opposite each other. And wherever we have the moon, specifically the moon in Aquarius, is where we will often have some kind of realization or culmination of something in our lives. This is more so if it makes an aspect to a personal planet, or really any planet. But if it doesn't make any aspects to your personal planets, you'll likely just have this go by and feel more energetically what's happening, but not have like actual events transpire in your life that changes things. But for those of you who have planets around 9 degrees, plus or minus a few degrees, especially in Aquarius and Leo, but also in the fixed signs of Scorpio and Taurus, you'll be impacted by this the most. And you can also check in your birth chart if it makes aspects to other planets. So this full moon looks like a pretty positive one because it is making a square to Jupiter. And one thing I love about both Aquarius energy and Jupiter energy is that they share this ability to find higher meaning in things. So there is a sense of truth and clarity and wisdom that Aquarius and Jupiter both hold within themselves. And so I feel like some of us are going to be having almost like this download or something transpire in our life that shows how we have honored our own personal truth, or how we have basically like stuck something out and held our own authentic expression, and we can get some kind of reward for that. We can get some kind of next step, information, something unfolding on our path, an opportunity, again, a culmination of some sort. So some kind of gift, or basically like a representation of the journey that you've just gone on and being rewarded for it. So I'm seeing this I also pulled the Seven of Wands, the Hierophant in reverse, and the Queen of Swords. So the Seven of Wands is really about persevering in the face of odds. So like having people against you, people who have different beliefs in you, people who maybe told you don't do that, or they weren't on your side in some capacity. But with the Hierophant in reverse, you maintained your vision, you maintained your idea of what you wanted, your authenticity, your own way of doing things that actually likely contradicted the norms or contradicted society. And you were able to keep this kind of truth within yourself, this vision of what you wanted, or this vision of who you are and what you stand for. And you were able to like stay rooted in that. Something Aquarius is also really good at is research. They tend to look at things through very objective eyes. They look at the information and the data and the experiences, and then they draw their conclusions and take that into the spiritual realm as well. So they're able to draw conclusions about matter and what's right in front of them and the world and society, but then they take it on another level and they look on it at a grander scale, or they look at it through a spiritual lens. So there's usually a beautiful blending of like spirituality and science for Aquarius. And what's important for that is having an unbiased judgment, being independent, having a unique way of thinking, and being able to link different ideas together that are seemingly separate, but you can find these kind of undertones that run through all of them. That is one of Aquarius's strengths. So I think that this full moon is going to give us more of that energy, and it's also giving us a potential blessing because of our ability to do that in the past. So our ability to look at things through different eyes, to question things in our own way, to have unbiased judgment where we can look at the, again, objective reality and draw our own conclusions as we link it to our own experiences and our own spiritual belief patterns, and have an independent way of looking at things with our own eye of truth. So all of those perspectives are really coming in to help us now. And they're really showing us that we did something right. Like our way of observing something or sticking to something is right and correct for us. And now, again, we're getting some kind of next step in our life that's helping us evolve and showing that we're gaining the potential for new growth in our life. This growth might be a little bit of an edge because this is making a square to Jupiter, but ultimately Jupiter has a very positive influence regardless. So even though we might feel like, oh, that's a little outside of my comfort zone, or that's something I've never tried before, it's ultimately something that I think we're excited about, that we're feeling blessed by. So I really feel like this is a good time overall. I mean, there are some other transits happening outside of the full moon that are not aspecting the moon, that are a little bit more negative, but overall this is a positive time. Okay, so that's like the main message. And we have a couple other messages coming through. So first of all, we have Mercury and Mars pretty close together in the sign of Virgo. And many of us are probably feeling a little bit of this itch of like, I want to get organized. I want to start cleaning. I want to look at my systems and my processes. I want to make sure I check off my to-do list. I want to be efficient. I want to be productive. I want to take care of my health. I want to really think about things carefully and make decisions that are maybe preventative or help me with my upkeep of my wellness or my life in general. And so a lot of us can kind of be having a desire to be a little bit more on top of things. And I think that part of us, that critical eye that can really spot what's not working in our lives and kind of how to improve it and how to systematize it in some way to become better, more efficient, more productive, that part of ourselves might be a little bit caught up in... So, okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how I want to word this, because I feel like that part of ourselves is very important right now. And it's receiving, Mercury specifically is opposing Saturn. So it's receiving this intense criticism from Saturn where we're becoming very aware of reality and very aware of where we slipped off our path. So every season has very important energies to it. And Virgo season in particular, which we're coming up on soon, but of course Mars and Mercury are already in that sign, already preparing us for this time ahead. Especially Mars, which is very concerned with the way that we take action. It's very centered around Virgo energy right now. So our actions are really to create more organization, to create more efficiency and flow and control over our environment. And with Saturn coming opposite Mercury, it's helping us become really aware of how we've gotten off track over the last year. You know, maybe you had an intention of being, sticking to a certain schedule, and then you look back and you're like, oh yeah, my New Year's resolutions kind of fell flat here. Or I've been really digging around on my phone a lot in the mornings, or I've really been eating too much at night before I go to bed, or whatever it is in your life that you've kind of let slide by that adds up in our everyday routine. It's like, oh, it's just one time. It's not a big deal. And then we start to kind of let it too much slide. And then at some point when the Saturn opposition opposes, I cannot talk today. What is going on? When Saturn opposes Mercury, it's like we start to get very, very clear about how that has all added up to mean something more significant. So that one time we ate too late, that time we were on our phone too long, like it became 5 days, it became 10 days, it became months. And we think back about what could have been instead of that and how we could have actually had more control over our life or over our environment or over ourselves, and could have had more discipline, and maybe we could have been further. And so Saturn kind of comes and adds and applies this pressure of, let's do better. I know I can do better. Look at the results and the reality of the situation. What if we continue like this? Is that really what we want? And this could come in any area of life where you have Virgo. It could come in even into your relationships, especially because Venus is retrograde right now. So we're already doing an analysis of our relationships. So we could ask ourselves, like, how are my boundaries? How are my communication methods? Like, how is my everyday routine or reality of the way that I take care of my relationships as well? So that could be an area, but it's likely going to really be pervasive more so in like work, routine, health, that type of thing. So Saturn really is coming here to check us of our bad habits, our potential addictions. Also, it can really make us aware of our limiting beliefs, our shadows, anything in our life that we have allowed ourselves to attach to unhealthily that serves as a comfort zone that actually is not providing much comfort in the long term. So Saturn can help us become really aware of that and have this like rebirth opportunity, which is what I see with this Judgment and the Devil card. Have this opportunity of rebirth where we can decide that we don't want to live like that anymore. And it's okay if we slip back at certain points or if certain things don't always stick, because we'll have Virgo season again when September hits. So this is our opportunity for this kind of like annual check-in to see where have I slipped up and how can I realign. And we have continuous opportunities every year to realign because we're human and we're going to fall off and we're not machines. So that's kind of what this opportunity is for us. So just be careful not to be overly like aggressive or overly stressed or overly critical towards the self, because there's only so much that we can do. Like, we're humans. It's important to have compassion. It's important to realize that, you know, this is a part of human nature to kind of get stuck in cycles of self-defeat or cycles of self-sabotage. I think what will help us through this process is the Mars making a trine to Jupiter. So Mars and Virgo making a pretty much exact trine to Jupiter. This is going to help us take the right action. It's going to help us get out of this cycle. It's not like we're just seeing it and beating ourselves up about it, but we're seeing it, metabolizing it, and then the output is then to do something different. And I really think that most of us will, especially because we're connected more to the higher purpose and the higher reasoning behind why we're doing that. Like, where am I going as a soul? Why do I want this? How am I meant to evolve? How is this holding me back from growing? How do I become more stable? How do I simplify my life? How do I make things easy? How do I make things feel attainable step by step? And without cluttering it with all these additional things that don't need to be there or that are wasting my time. And I think Mars trining Jupiter will say, this is what I need to do and this is when I will do it, and help us really get our butts into gear. We also are currently experiencing Venus retrograde, which I made a very important video about. I highly recommend that you guys watch that one. So just, type in my channel Venus retrograde, or I can link it down below if I remember. But this video is super important because it's going to be Venus retrograde until September 3rd. So we're really going to feel this energy for quite a while. And Venus retrograde is something that is relatively uncommon. It happens every year and a half. And so it's something that we really feel on a very personal level. And so many of us are going to be going through larger phases of reprioritizing things in our life, especially related to Leo qualities of creativity and self-expression, the way that we love ourselves, show up and shine our light, or wherever you have Leo in your chart. So it's time to think about what your priorities are in your life in general and in your relationships, and what maybe needs some extra care and attention during this period of time. Venus is also making a square to Uranus. So it really is giving us the potential to create some change or to have a new way of thinking about things in terms of our priorities, especially now that we're seeing something in our life kind of pay off for us with this Aquarius full moon. Our way of doing things, our way of sticking to our own authentic truth, again, is paying off in some kind of capacity. And so we might need a further update of our values and our priorities, because now that we have something new coming along, or something coming to fruition, or some new part of our identity unlocked, or some pat on the back, there is something in that is then needing to make us come back into ourselves and be like, okay, well, now that I have this new job, for example, I need to make this a priority, and I need to have a different schedule like this, and I need to keep this in mind. And so we kind of are doing a readjustment based off of this new unfolding in our life with this Aquarius full moon. Pluto is also still squaring the nodes, which have shifted signs into Aries and Libra. This is super important as well. The nodes will remain in the sign for another year and a half. So Aries and Libra are super activated in our charts right now anyway. And that's something that I made a video about as well. And I highly encourage you guys to check that out. So we're getting this feeling of kind of fate and importance with Pluto here, saying this is a really great moment in our evolution to be very much willing to transform for our highest good and willing to let things go for our highest good. So if there is anything like that in your life that you're just very aware of how it's an old chapter for you and you're trying to transition into the new, this is a great chance to check yourself and do what you can with this Mars trining Jupiter with the support of the universe to be a go-getter, be active, to actually step out of that chapter, because you have more energy working in your favor right now. If you try to do this at a different time, it might be a little bit harder. And so that's why astrology is great, because it can really show us when the energy is like less friction, when it's smooth, when it's slick, we can just slide right in. Okay, anyway. You know what I'm saying? So this is a time of authenticity, of celebrating our own truth, of our own individuality, our own unconventionality, our higher meaning that we've given to things. And ultimately as well with this Otter card, I think we're going to be going through a period of feeling very happy. Jupiter tends, which is again making a square this full moon, Jupiter tends to bring the sense of optimism, the sense of happiness, the sense of contentedness about the future into our lives. And this card, the Sea Otter card, says happiness. It says, be the master of playful living, release expectations, and enjoy every day. Let worry go and instead choose love. Surrender to the waves. Your good destiny of love is sure. Okay, it's a weird last line, but that is what I'm seeing for the full moon overall. Let's go ahead and jump into what this looks like for all of the rising signs. Make sure to watch for your sun sign as well, because you'll definitely feel them both in your life. And always make sure to check with your chart. If you know your astrology and you can kind of read your chart, then make sure to check to see if this is aspecting your chart to see where you're going to get your blessings. And as always, if you want a reading from me, check me out at willows.com, which you can find in the link down below. All right, up first we have Aries Rising and Sun. So for you guys, this Aquarius full moon is happening in your 11th house, and it's making a square to Jupiter in your 2nd house. So one of the things that I feel like is coming in for you guys is this potential to feel like you are having new avenues open up for you. So this could be new friendships, these could be new goals, new perspectives, but there's something in your life where I feel like you're coming into an energy of much more expansion. Like you're feeling like you can handle maybe a lot more than you did before. Or maybe you're having new ideas that you haven't had before around how to make money, or how to feel more confident, or how to become more stable, or how to buy a house. Like if there's something in your life that you've really wanted goal-wise, material-wise, or internally, I think that this period of time is really going to help open up to you all the possibilities, which could feel really exciting. And maybe even one of those possibilities could come to fruition. Maybe somebody even from your community or your friends could help you. And you have the potential to make a lot of new connections or have some kind of important storyline unfold in your relationships as a result of this full moon anyway. I really feel like you guys are starting off a phase of being very connected to yourself with this King of Cups in reverse. I think that you guys may have been going through a period of a little bit of anxiety or being hard on yourself or kind of questioning things in your life, especially like self-actualized things, you know, like things that you are in charge of that, you know, you have to bring to fruition. You know, we did have this previous transit where your planetary ruler, Mars, was squaring Saturn. It's finally starting to come out of that now. But now Mercury is squaring Saturn. So we're all still having a little bit of residue of anxiety from that. And Mars opposite Saturn can make us feel like we are just not as productive, like we are maybe feeling like we're a little bit blocked even in terms of what we do or what we create. We might feel like we're less energized or we're a little bit more frustrated. There's just a lot of like little things that can happen throughout the day that kind of set us off in terms of our normal energy or our confidence and our flow. And so that might have been happening to you, you know, these last week or two. And you're kind of starting to come out of that with Mercury opposite Saturn. I think there's still a processing of everything that has happened in regards to that. If you have had anxiety, you know, I think it's time you're going through a period where you're releasing your turmoil, inner turmoil with this Nine of Swords in reverse, especially with the Devil upright. It's like very much you're releasing the worry or the fears or the insecurities that have come as a result of being aware of your own inactivity or your own feelings of being blocked or feeling like gunked up in some way inside or energetically. It's like there's something that maybe you weren't having a lot of capacity for, or maybe you were just taking a break from things and you were kind of like enjoying your life a lot more, not thinking about the future, and you were just like flowing and having fun. Or maybe you were getting caught up in like bad habits, or you're spending a little bit more than usual, or you're eating a little bit more. And this is saying like you might have felt a little bit of the pressure from that, and this is a period of time to kind of recognize everything that happened and then release the worry around that, and become more compassionate with the self, more understanding of the self, because you don't deserve to treat yourself poorly, you know? And I think that this period of time, you're going to really start to see also how you can collaborate with people and become more stable in your life. I see that with the moon being in the 11th house, and also with Jupiter being in the 2nd house, which is about money and stability. And the 11th house is about connections. Like, how can we do this when we're not alone? How can we create a feeling of community or support? And that's really what I see also with the 3 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. So you guys are given the potential to come into a very, very stable energy. And this could look like making a lot more money because you're collaborating with the right people. This could look like, moving to a place or having a new kind of goal that ultimately is going to create that feeling of stability, or having more clarity, or having more support. There's something in your life that's really like just feeling like it has a stronger foundation because of other people being there with you or helping you in some way. We also have your ruling planet Mars making a trine to Jupiter. So Mars is in your 6th, Jupiter's in your 2nd. So this is really going to help you actually take action on the things that you need to do to create this stability. So it's not just talking about it. It's not just thinking about it. It's not just wanting it. It's following through. And you guys are going to have the confidence and motivation to actually do that. I guess the last thing I'll kind of mention is that the Venus retrograde is in Leo. I already did a video about this. I don't want to go super in detail, but it's in your 5th house and it's squaring Uranus in the 2nd. So you might have some kind of reprioritization when it comes to your values or your choices around how you create that stability. So maybe you spend money differently. Maybe you decide that you want to go out less. Maybe you want to, I don't know, just value things differently when it comes to your stability long term. So you're going to know what that is, I hope, and you can at least ask yourself, like, what is it in my life that has been bringing me pleasure? And is this in contrast with what has been bringing me stability? And how can I merge these two things? How can I do this differently to have both in my life in a positive way? And I think you're going to find that. You also have this Moose card, which says wisdom. Let your head and mind reach to the stars and keep your feet grounded on the earth. Listen to the ancient wisdom of your soul. The ancestors speak through you. You know much. So you guys are very wise right now. You have the vision for the future right now of what you can create for yourself financially or in any other way that, again, creates stability or confidence. And this Moose card is saying, and this is even coming from a deep intrinsic place within the self. So don't question yourself. You already embody and know where you're headed, and you can trust what unfolds for you around this Aquarius full moon, that it will bring you some kind of lasting success or stability in your life that you are deserving of. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Aries Rising. If that resonates, please don't forget to like and comment and share with your friends. I really love reading all your comments. It helps my practice. I think it helps other people as well. So if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to, if you're interested in, you can purchase a reading from willsbloom.com, which I will link down below. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. All right, I'm next to Taurus Rising and Sun. So this Aquarius full moon is happening in your 10th house and is squaring Jupiter in your 1st house. So this is a big deal for you guys, and it's representing a big turn of events, especially in the area of career and your identity and your personal development and your life goals, and feeling like you are almost like you're embarking on a new adventure, or you're having some kind of like realization or decision or news or something coming into your life that is confirmation that the path you are on is correct, or the path that you're wanting to start is correct. But there's some kind of like thumbs up from the universe saying, this is a good opportunity for you. Don't sleep on this opportunity. And I think that's something that I'm seeing very clearly with these cards is I feel like you guys may have had the chance to do something like this in the past. And I think that there was almost like an inability for you to act on this because of certain fears or limitations. So, okay, let me talk about what I'm seeing first with the Venus retrograde, and then I'll bring in the cards. So during this full moon, you do have all those opportunities and this blessing coming through for you, this confirmation, this yes from the universe, leading you towards maybe a career goal or some life goal, an objective that is ultimately going to grow you as a person a lot as well and add on to your identity. And on top of that, your planetary ruler Venus is retrograding in your 4th house. So there's something around your childhood, your home, your past, your sense of security, your comfort zone that ultimately is needing to be reprioritized. Whenever Venus goes retrograde, it asks us, do we still hold the same esteem for all of these things in our life? Or do we need to put different efforts and energies and emotions into this area or change it to this area? And so we tend to, again, refocus and reprioritize. And for you, it's especially how you may have lived inside of your comfort zone or inside of a sense of familiarity or the sameness. And again, this could very much be related to where you live, your family relationships, your emotional patterns, like all of those things. There's something about this that ultimately I think has, you know, as a Taurus, you have a lot of stability and a desire for stability. Even if you have other elements of your chart that indicate change and all that, at your core, you desire some semblance of like long-term stability, whether that's having money or knowing that you're confident in yourself and you're okay wherever you go. It's like there's something in you that craves simplicity, stability, longevity. And so that part of you can sometimes overtake things and make you focus on the comfort or the money or prioritize things in regards to, you know, those areas of your life. And not to say that that's not important, but I think that you're coming into a phase of your life where it's not like the way that you've been going about the pursuit of that financial status or that comfort needs to change, which is why Venus is retrograding. And it's squaring Uranus in your 1st house. So it's not only that priority that needs to change in your home, but it's also the way that you think as well and the way that you show up. So there's something that needs an upgrade. There's something that needs to be reevaluated because you need to approach the desire for security and the achievement of finances differently. And sometimes Taurus is, as a fixed sign, can get so kind of stuck in the way that it's been doing things, or, you know, it can feel like it's just harder to change typically. And again, there can be other indicators of your chart that say otherwise. So take this with a grain of salt. But typically there is like, the energy of I will walk the well-worn path that I have already walked. Because I know where it goes. I know what I'm doing. And there's this familiarity that can get you there. And sometimes even the familiarity is things that, you know, if you have a lot of Uranus energy in your chart, for example, the thing could be that you're constantly changing and that's what's familiar to you and you don't settle down. So everyone's going to have a different set point. But for you, there's something in this where I feel like you've been focusing on the wrong thing or maybe being overly stubborn. And it's a time to come in and bring balance. It's a time to think about their priorities in a more balanced fashion. So it's like, okay, if I want to make this amount of money, instead of just focusing on the money, let's focus on the way that we make it, the way that I feel emotionally once I receive it. How filled up energetically am I? How much am I spending on this or that? So am I giving back to myself? Do I actually enjoy what I'm doing when I'm making money? Do I feel like I'm adding to the world, that I have a purpose? Do I feel like this is sustainable long term? So all these things are really calling into question, like, how are you balancing your priorities? Is your family in there? Like, are you prioritizing your family as much as their security? All of those things. And especially with this Justice and the King of Pentacles in reverse, it's like, let's loosen up some of this stubborn, stuck energy and ask ourselves how we need to change as people to be more balanced and happy and less like driven to succeed. And that's ironic because this is, a full moon in the 10th house, which is giving you the opportunity for success, especially with the square to Jupiter. Like, you can succeed, but it's almost like when you're less driven by money or success, it's almost like that's when it will come. And there's something here around that's going to continue to unfold for you. I feel like, Taurus, you're going through a really big phase of growth with Jupiter in your sign for this next year. So you're really coming into your own, but you're coming into your own in understanding what really, really matters to you. Because what's the point of being wealthy if you don't have time to use that money, if you're never connecting with your friends and family, if you lose your health? Like, what really matters, and how do you create space for those things that really matter, and pursuing wealth and your career opportunities in a way that actually feels truly in alignment, and that is likely different than how you're currently doing it. So you might have some opportunities come in while there's a reassessment going on. Something else that's happening is we have Mars and Mercury pretty close together in Virgo, which is in your 5th house. And Mercury is exactly opposite Saturn in the 11th house. So there can be some realizations around our social life, the way that we've been pursuing things in short term versus long term. This is really important here. So it's like, how have I been pursuing my short term pleasures, which could be social, versus my long term goals and creating this real sense of community? What have I done? What have I been kind of like frivolous with or short-sighted with when I needed to invest long-term? This Saturn opposition can really bring in that clarity of, I need to think 3 years into the future. I need to think about like a long-term plan, and not just, hey, I want to go out this weekend. What do you want to do? Let's spend money this way. Let's do this, spend our time this way. It's like, how do we actually manage our resources and our energy and our thoughts in a way that aligns us with longevity and future success, future happiness? That's super important. Another element of this is Mars in the 5th trining Jupiter in the 1st. So I really think that you're still driven by this sense of happiness. You're still driven to create like pleasure and joy and creativity in your life. But you're not going to, like, you're being encouraged to do that in a way that also supports your long-term goals. And so it's like, how can we merge these two? And Jupiter can help give you the insight of how to do that. And this is really likely going to come down to how you need to change, how your beliefs need to change, your perspectives need to change, your capacity needs to change in order to be able to pursue what you really love long-term that also suits your short-term pleasures in some ways. Like, it also brings you joy is what I'm trying to say. So that's something that I'm really seeing here in order to kind of like undo undo beliefs that are not serving you. I see with this Ace of Pentacles, this is like lack of planning and foresight. So I think there's something in your life where you've been kind of like riding by the seat of your pants a little bit, which can serve us when we're younger. But then once we start to get older, we feel the pressure of time and reality that we're not going to actually achieve some of our goals if we keep trying to figure out life as it comes and not actually try to like get ahead and plan and think about how we need to make changes to ourselves to create what we're really wanting. And so that's what I think you're realizing right now. And with this Devil card in reverse, you're having to let go of limiting beliefs or even fears and becoming detached to your previous way of thinking and your previous way of doing things. Because the more that you remain attached to it, the more that you're going to be stuck in this cycle of like the samsara. Is that right? Is that the right word? Let me know in the comments below. And then the last card we have is a Nine of Pentacles. This is luxury, self-sufficiency, abundance, independence. This is what you've been looking for, but the way that you're looking for it is going to change, and that's when you're finally going to get it. Not to say that you don't already have it, but what you're doing right now feels like it's short-sighted and unsustainable, and it's based off of limiting beliefs. And what you're coming into next is true independence, true abundance, and feeling good while doing it, which is beautiful. I also pulled the Grizzly Bear card for you, which says power. I am indestructible. I honor my intuition and go where it leads. Love and gentleness are my real strength. I never give up. I will succeed. I love that for you guys. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Taurus. If this resonates, please don't forget to comment down below. I love to read your comments. They really help my practice, and I think they help other people as well. If you enjoy this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share with your friends. And if you also want a reading, check me out at willowsboom.com, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Gemini Rising and Sun. This Aquarius full moon is happening in your 9th house, and I believe it's also at 9 degrees. Yeah, so maybe there's something here around the energy of 9 for you this month that is important. And when I think also about your cards, I actually got the 9 of Wands and the 9 of Swords. So there is definitely a lot of energy around this potential of wrapping things up or ending something that is going to come through in the month of August for you. So I'd be curious to see how that resonates for the rest of the reading, and if you want to comment down below what you feel like is coming to an end for you. This makes a lot of sense with the reading as well, because with the moon in the 9th, it is squaring Jupiter in the 12th, which is a house of endings. But ultimately, Jupiter is very optimistic, as well as the 9th house, which is the house that Jupiter rules or is in charge of. And so we see a lot of positivity that will come from an ending here. So this could look like ending old cycles of bad habits. This could look like ending things that felt like they were really weighing you down. If there were things in your life that you felt like you were really struggling to achieve or to believe, especially about yourself or about what you wanted, this is your opportunity for that to have a beautiful reset, for you to feel like you're getting divine support, like the angels are coming in, they're looking down upon you, and they're telling you, you can do it. This is how you do it. Believe in yourself. So if there are things that you have, again, felt like you didn't have the inner resources to tackle, or you were running out of them, you were feeling exasperated, or you were feeling like this isn't going to happen, or even maybe like some other negative emotions towards that, I really feel that this is a sign from the universe on this full moon that you're letting that struggle go. There's less resistance here, although there is resistance in other areas, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Even though there might still be resistance in life in general, there's less internal resistance against what's coming through for you. And I think you're going to ultimately have some kind of idea, some kind of clarity, some kind of breakthrough that can come for you with this full moon being in the 9th house of, you know, our intellect. Our 3rd and 9th house has to do with our intellect, but 9th is really where we have intellect supported by our higher self, or our spiritual self, our more angelic self. So sorry, I'm just like, what is that noise? And so the ideas that come through for you now are definitely going to be things that are ultimately in your highest good, or a bigger vision type of, outcome. So it's not just like, oh, I can do this one little thing. It's, I can change my life by thinking this way, by having this way of looking at my business, by having this way of looking at my relationships. You can have some kind of breakthrough where you felt stuck and overwhelmed inside before, and like you were struggling to get some kind of transformation in your life to occur. And I see this transformation with this lizard card, which says regeneration. And it says, as a survivor, you are unparalleled. No matter what happens, you can adapt. Especially as a Gemini, Mercury ruled sign, you are very adaptable. Embrace your transformation. Put on your new cloak. You are a master of regeneration. So I really feel like you're going in and you're putting on that new cloak of a different perspective, a different idea that's going to lead you to some kind of success. So overall, it's really positive, but there are some negative things in this full moon that are taking place outside of the full moon, which is really primarily coming from Saturn being directly opposite your planetary ruler, Mercury. So sometimes Saturn can apply a lot of pressure and create anxiety to poor little Mercury. Mercury wants to be perfect. Mercury wants to do well. Mercury wants to adapt and change and evolve. And Saturn's like, no, you can't. Here's a delay. Here's a blockage. Here's something else to worry about. Here's the reality that you haven't considered. And it can put, again, this pressure on Mercury where it starts to feel like it's not moving ahead fast enough. And that's really what I see with this Nine of Swords and this Eight of Wands in reverse. You could be a little bit at this stalemate of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing well enough. I'm not moving fast enough. I feel like I'm being blocked. I feel like I'm having delays. I'm feeling frustrated about these delays. And really what this is trying to do is bring you back into alignment and make some necessary changes with this regeneration card. Again, there's some necessary changes to the self that need to happen, to the psyche, especially because this is Mercury. So there's something about you and your perspective that needs to change to create this fluidity. So you're having a little bit of a blockage so that you can go back to the drawing board and really think, what do I need? What do I need? And this full moon can provide you that breakthrough and that clarity and that different way of doing things, that different perspective in order to create more alignment for you. Mars is also very close to Mercury, and it's trining Jupiter in the 12th house. So your imagination is really high right now. You're really like feeling very inspired. And I think that there can be this feeling of like unlimited possibilities. Your intuition is super strong. You could feel like, you know, with this energy, sometimes we can be overly confident, and that's something that I think the Knight of Cups in reverse is really saying, like that some of this could be unrealistic, some of the ideas that are coming in. But it's important to, I mean, with the opposition with Saturn, I feel like that helps ground down any unrealistic expectations. But sometimes we can have unrealistic expectations, specifically with Mars, around how much we can accomplish in a day. So it's like maybe we want to be super, 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 super productive. And the reality is we have maybe a lot on our plate, or we have, you know, just too much to juggle for the capacity to really be what we want it to be, because we're just humans. So there's something here around having like lots of curiosity, lots of ideas, lots of excitement and opportunities coming to your brain, but not all of it being the right thing, not all of it being super grounded. And so some of this is going to, like the Saturn opposition with Mercury, I think is actually really helpful, because I think it can kind of sift through some of these exciting ideas or energies and potentials that are coming through, to see what really makes the most sense realistically. Like if we had limited time, what would we commit to? And this is important because, you know, 12th house energy, where Jupiter is, it's very tapped into the divine. It just gets these downloads. It's not filtered. And that is a beautiful thing, because we have access to so many amazing, again, potentials and ideas that are not always available to everybody. And it's very creative. But when there's no filter, it's like we need the discernment of Saturn, of reality, of this earth, of time, especially, to understand what of those ideas makes most sense for us, because we just have like an open vessel and we're just receiving, and we need to be able to use that discernment to kind of sift through, like I mentioned. So I think this Mercury Saturn opposition is actually going to be really beneficial for that purpose. Just be nice to yourselves if you feel like you're kind of spinning a little bit and you're not getting as ahead as you want, and you have lots of ideas but not everything is landing, or not everything like is being taken, has action taken on it. Use this period of time to kind of pick and choose the ideas and the vision, and then the application and the full like seeing through of all these ideas I think will come a little bit more so later. We also have Venus retrograde in our 3rd house and is squaring Uranus in the 12th. So this is definitely, to me, like, let's prioritize. We have lots of ideas from the past as well that we might need to revisit and incorporate into our lives again. But with the square to Uranus in the 12th, we can't keep it all. In order to have actual space and freedom in our life, we need to think about things differently. And sometimes that means some things need to go, or we need to reinvent things, or we need to merge things together, which is most likely the case. Some things from the past, some things from the future, kind of merging together and making more sense. But not all of it's going to work, like I said. So it's really about pruning the brain, allowing ourselves to transform in the ways that we need to transform, having this breakthrough and ideas for the future, and following that when the timing is right, which might not be right now. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. If that resonates, please let me know in the comments down below. I love to read your comments. I love to see how this affects your life personally. If you feel comfortable sharing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowsbloom.com in the description down below, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer, Rising, and Sun. For you guys, this full moon in Aquarius is happening in your 8th house, squaring Jupiter in Taurus in your 11th house. So a full moon in the 8th house can give us the opportunity to really learn from our past failures, to learn from our own insecurities, our own fears. It can really show us how those areas of our life have maybe held us back in some kind of way. And I feel like you guys are actually coming into a state of feeling a lot lighter. Like those areas of your life are not getting you down right now. With this full moon making a square to Jupiter in the 11th, you are seeing how there can be like new ways of doing things, or new potentials, new friends, new communities, new goals that you can reach towards, that maybe the old viewpoints or the old woundings or the old fears would have told you wasn't possible. And I think that's actually how things used to be for you. I kind of feel like there was maybe, this is actually a similar message to Taurus. So I don't know if you have some Taurus in your chart, but with the 7 of Pentacles and 2 of Wands in reverse, I really feel like there was things in your life that you didn't have the full plan for. There was things that you lacked the long-term vision, that you were thinking, again, you didn't have the plan, you were thinking too short-term. And I think that you were probably scared or had fears or insecurities that kept you from actually solidifying an important goal or important plan for something that you had an idea about. Maybe you would really just toy around with ideas in your head, or you would just kind of oh, this sounds fun, or this sounds great, but there's something that you never committed to and made steps towards. And that's what I feel like you're finally seeing, how you've grown past that. You've grown into a state of becoming a lot more aware of those fears and overcoming them, and this time actually making plans and thinking long term, which we can really also see with Mercury in the 3rd house opposite Saturn in the 9th. We're very much aware of our long-term vision. And I think sometimes Saturn, though, can be a little critical opposite Mercury in the 3rd. It can really show us where we've been having limiting thoughts, and it can put this pressure of look how behind you are. If you would have realized this sooner, you would have been more ahead, or stuff like that. And my encouragement would be to not focus on that very much. This is a time where we are given the opportunity to reconstruct beliefs that are much more favorable for our progress. And that is what I think Saturn opposite Mercury is trying to do, is it's trying to get you to change your beliefs to think long term, but also for that to impact your everyday mindset, your everyday thoughts. So all of these things are trying to lead you ultimately towards having greater faith in yourself and greater faith in your potential, as well as being able to rely more on your community, being able to create more of those connections in order to make your dreams a reality. So if there's been any feelings of isolation, this is your time to come out of that. And again, maybe you have certain beliefs that have kept you there, that have kept you kind of holding yourself back in life. And this is your chance to really challenge that and break free from that. We also have Mars in the 3rd house trining Jupiter in the 11th. So this is going to give you the confidence, the motivation to actually, again, put yourself out there. And I really feel like that's going to be perceived and received very, very well. So that's what this full moon is going to give you, the yes, we love this, we're glad that you hit us up, we're glad that you're trying to do this. You're going to start to see that, oh, all these fears are invalidated, those were not true, those were not accurate for me, especially when you're trying to do something that's different with this Hierophant in reverse, that feels exciting to you and different from how other people do it. You might feel oh, I don't know if people are going to support that or enjoy that, and they will. There might also be things that you feel like you're pursuing or you're going after that make you feel more free, or that actually feel, again, like they are beliefs that are much more supportive of you, and you're acting in accordance with those beliefs, and you're starting to see that, okay, yes, this is working. This isn't something I have to be afraid of. People are accepting me. I am encouraged. I am given the green light. And with the Six of Pentacles, it's like an equal giving and receiving. So if you've given things to people, or if you kind of put yourself out there, the universe or other people are going to open you with, accept you with open arms. You know, it really has an energy of just truly like being connected with those around you. And I see that also with this Dolphin card. Dolphins are all about pods and communities, and they're very playful with each other. And I think that you guys are coming back into like a higher vibration because of your connections with people. And I think that this is definitely trying to encourage more of that and more play. It says, swim in the happy joy of living. Inhale confidence, exhale fear. Dive into your wisdom, go with the flow. So you guys already really know what you want to do, but I think before you had fears that held you back. And this is your opportunity to say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm reprioritizing things in my life, and I'm going to go after what really matters. And the reprioritization is coming with Venus retrograding in your second house. This is really coming in around security and confidence and money. And with it retrograde, it's again saying, do those same things matter? Do those same ways I've went about these areas of my life, are they working for me? Are they truly aligned with who I am today? And they're not. There are always going to be some upgrades that happen when Venus is retrograde. So we're reprioritizing, and with this square to Uranus in the 11th, it's directly going to create changes in our community and changes in our ability to feel like who we belong to now, or the way that we approach life now. Again, which I think is going to come from a greater sense of expansion and like confidence, and not so much based off of trying to keep ourselves safe or trying to do everything on our own or being fearful, and so we're just holding ourselves back. I feel like you're really pushing past that, putting yourself out there, and seeing that it's actually received very well. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. If this resonates, please give me a thumbs up and comment down below. And I love your comments. Like, your comments especially are something that help my practice, and they also help me understand you guys who's watching the video. So I really appreciate those if you do leave one. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowswim.com in the description box down below, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Leo, Sun, and Rising. This Aquarius full moon is happening in your 7th house, which means that the Sun is in your 1st house. So whenever the Sun is in our 1st house, we are the stars. We are feeling the spotlight on us. We are coming up on a period of our birthday or just extra vitality. And it's funny because I pulled the Ladybug card, which says, good luck. You are bright energy. Let worry go and be happy here now. Feel good about being a loving and colorful you. You bless the world with color and good luck. So you bless the world. I think that you have good luck that you're receiving right now. But I think the other message coming through with the Sun being in your 1st house or passing over your natal Sun is that this is a period right now to really shine and for you to bestow your blessings on the world. You know, Venus is retrograding in your sign. We're all trying to get more acquainted with our inner Leo. And so you guys can be a great representation of what we should be working on. Our own ability to create something, to shine our light, to be noticed for who we are, to be able to lead others, inspire others. That is what Leo energy is about. That's what the Sun is about, loves to be in Leo. And so this is, again, your time to shine bright right now. This full moon, though, is in your 7th house. So the moon's in the 7th and is squaring Jupiter in your 10th house. So you are coming into the potential for some really beautiful new opportunities in your career, or some kind of culmination or realization within your life goals. Something that feels exciting, that can move you forward, that is growth oriented. And this specifically involves working with somebody else or some kind of energy of partnership. So this could look like moving in or buying a house with a partner. This could look like starting a business with a partner, partnering up with another company in order to promote something. This could look like getting an advance, and this somehow affects your relationships. But there's a positive energy here coming in through relationships and your career or life goals in general, and things moving ahead, things progressing, moving forward, expanding. And all of those areas are going to be positively affected for you. So congratulations. This is a good time. With the Five of Pentacles in reverse as well, I think you're going to be entering into a period where if you felt like you were really struggling for money, or if you have felt like, oh my gosh, I just spent all this money, or I had some kind of loss, some unexpected expenses. This is really saying that you're coming out of that. You're coming into a period of healing your financial status. If you felt other kinds of lack in your life, any other kind of physical lack, like physical touch, relationships, things that were very obviously like missing in your life, this is saying that that's done now, that you're coming out of that and into a recovery period, into a period where you're going to experience more abundance, more affection, more love, whatever that is that was lacking in your life. It's rebalancing itself now for you, which is really nice. I also pulled this Knight of Wands, which is very exciting because this has a lot to do with the sun being in your first house. This is the energy. This is the expansiveness. This is the passion, the vitality. So I feel like not only are you coming out of a period of lack, but you're also stepping into a period of energy expansion and feeling like, okay, now that I have my needs met, because that can really occupy a lot of stress and time and energy. Now that my needs are met, I feel like I want to create this. I feel like I want to do this. You have all these ideas, and I just saw 333, things that you might, again, collaborate on, some next steps. You feel expansive, you feel energized and passionate about how to move forward, and you might even be acting on things through inspiration. You might be taking a trip. You might be starting some art project or taking some kind of risk in your life that is going to definitely pay off and feel rewarding for you. Something to be aware of, though, is financial management in general. With Mercury and Mars pretty close together in Virgo in your second house, there is a need to get organized with your finances, get, very clear about your long-term goals, kind of where you want to be spending money, where you don't want to be spending money. And with Saturn opposite Mercury, so Saturn's in the 8th, opposite Mercury in your second, this is a little bit of, I'm kind of split between two interpretations. I'm going to tell you both of them and maybe pull a card as well, but I'll let you guys kind of decipher for yourself, and then maybe the card will kind of show which one this is leaning towards. But what I'm seeing with this, when Saturn is opposite Mercury, especially in the 8th house, there's a need to be very cautious and plan long-term for our finances. The 8th house is a house of investments, so it's not necessarily a time to take on really big risks in terms of investments, but it could be if they were more calculated long-term risks. So part of me is saying, let's not spend a lot of money. Let's carefully squirrel it away. Let's think about what we're doing with our finances, because you could feel like now that you're making money, now that you have things, or even if you don't have it quite yet, if you're in either of those periods, it's like you still want to be discerning about where your money is going. And so that's one of the pieces of advice would be to not take unnecessary risks. Another thing would be that if you want to take certain risks, if you want to make certain investments, making sure that it's, again, very calculated, not impulsive, not something that's going to create unnecessary strain on you in the future. And yeah, so let me see kind of what the universe wants to say with that, if any cards come out. So we got the 2 of Cups and the 5 of Cups. So, I mean, this is very much emotional. The 2 of Cups in reverse and 5 of Cups upright. So all I'm going to say, if something, it seems like it's too good to be true, or, if you're not being cautious, then this could lead to a feeling of disappointment. The 2 of Cups reverse, the 2 of Cups upright is soulmate energy. Reverse, it could indicate like a breakup or some kind of, depressing ending. The 5 of Cups can feel very much like a loss. So assuming this is about finances, it could be about something else. But it's like, it's definitely a time to be careful with our money, careful with our hearts. And I feel like this is trying to tell me that this might be talking a little bit more about emotions, actually, rather than finances for some of you. So for some of you, this could indicate that there could be a difficult conversation or some kind of ending happening that maybe takes a hit to your confidence a little bit or creates some fear. So that is a potential there. But I think ultimately just being, again, cautious and wise with your money making decisions is highlighted here. You do see, like, I do see you're coming out of a period of financial lack and into one where things are going to flow a lot better and opportunities are going to come. But you don't want to waste those away on things that don't serve you long term, which is what Saturn is trying to teach you. Your Mars in the second trine Jupiter in the 10th is really going to help you act on some of the opportunities that are coming to you to actually go out and create the money. So you're going to be energized and you're going to have the right kind of ability, I guess, or ideas or avenues in order to actually pursue the thing that can make you money that aligns with where you're trying to go in life, and not just like make money in weird ways. It's like, no, this is what I want out of my life. This is my long-term vision. And these are the actions I'm going to take to start making that happen. Venus is retrograding in your first house in Leo, obviously. So this is definitely a time of reprioritizing things in your life in general, especially identities, like things that you have thought as possibilities for yourself. It's really a time where you are normally feeling creative. You know, Leo energy is very creative with Venus there. But when it's retrograde, it's like you can have lots of ideas and not really know where things are going to settle. You can have just a lot of questions, basically, like a lot of analyzing and thinking about things and not always having like all of the final say on it yet until Venus goes direct. And this is making a square to Uranus in the 10th. So you might have lots of creative ideas and things that could come in, or even relationships that could come in that could impact kind of how your career goes. So it feels like a little bit unsettled, where you're having a beautiful new opportunity in your career, and something that will be very clear for you. Like, this is helping you, this is moving you forward in your life and your goals, not just career, life objectives. But then you're also having other ideas or other things come in, and that's what I think you're really excited about, and like you're kind of having energy for that, but it's not really settled yet. And so these are all just like potentials is what I'm seeing, and it's important for you to use your discernment about which potentials make the most sense for you. Another thing with this 10 of Wands is that it's important to not do everything yourself. And so one of the things that you might need to change up within your career, or within the way that you, operate within relationships and career, is making sure that things are delegated, making sure that you are saying no or releasing things that are burdening you, and that you are becoming aware of how to manage your energy the best and how to prioritize the most important things that you only can do. So that's a really important message here, especially with the Queen of Swords ending the reading. It's like, and Venus retrograding your first, it's like, how are we going to approach relationships with truth and clarity and boundaries, and making sure that we say, this is what I need, this is what I want, communicating things very directly, not very emotionally, just being kind of straightforward. And how do we have those very clear-cut boundaries with people so that we know this is what's mine and that's what's yours, especially if you're going to be working on something with somebody. If you're going to move forward, with your life goals, you need to have very clear, like, delegation of the work or the boundaries or the responsibilities, so that you make sure that everything is fair and just and right. And that is a huge piece of advice. And again, with this ladybug card talking about your good luck, I think that you guys are going to have a really great month ahead and a lot of amazing opportunities. So enjoy this period of time, even if there are, some mixed energies. Overall, it seems positive and you are in the state of growing. So congratulations. If this resonates, I would love to hear you comment down below and see kind of what is coming through in your life personally. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowsboom.com, which I'll link down in the description box down below. Bye. All right, next we have Virgo Rising and Sun. For you guys, this full moon in Aquarius is happening in your 6th house. And that means the sun is opposite your the moon, and it's in your 12th house. So let's start there, because the sun in the 12th house, it can be a time in which our energy is turned a lot more inward. And that's actually something I saw with the first card that I pulled, which was the energy, the animal that's kind of like here for you this year, or this month, which is this loon, which says intuitive. And it says, listen to the song in your soul. Trust your intuition as you have a way of knowing. Emerge from the busy life and seek more solitude. recognize that you are unique and loved. And so that is something that I think is a message for everyone with the unique aspect, like you are loved for being unique. This is an Aquarius full moon. Your differences are appreciated. But the solitude element is, and the intuition is really speaking to you guys right now with the sun on the 12th, where it's a time where you can gather a lot of your own creative visions right now. And you need this period of solitude to reassess like what you really love and value in your life from an intuitive perspective. Like you really are not going to be able to fully capture this when in community and busy and, you know, all of the things. This is a period of needing to go inward and say, what do I want to create in my life? How do I want to prioritize things in my life? And this really speaks to the Venus retrograde that's also happening in your 12th house, which is, again, turning you inward and embarking on a little bit of a solitude journey to discover those new priorities. Venus is also making a square to Uranus in the 9th house. So this inward journey is going to start to shape and change the way that you view things, your beliefs about life, your beliefs about what you want. It's possible it could be small or it could be radical change. It depends on kind of how this is aspecting your chart. But ultimately, this time alone is super precious, and your intuition is speaking to you in a very soft but powerful voice, and you have to make the space to listen to it. Okay, back to the full moon. So being in your 6th house, there's an opposite energy here where there's some kind of culmination, realization, or feeling of achievement or success in the area that pertains to your career or your work. This also pertains to your health, your wellness, the way that you manage and structure your day, your commitment and responsibilities towards things. All of those areas of your life are having some kind of like, yes, like go ahead, you've done great from the universe. And especially this full moon is squaring Jupiter in the 9th. So we're getting this extra dose of support from Jupiter. And Jupiter is saying that now that you've done this really well, now that you've done your routine well, or your career well, or you've been feeling better about your responsibilities, or you've been tackling your work in a different way, or maybe you got a raise or something happened, like maybe there's some kind of progression there that feels like, yes, okay, this is going well. I'm enjoying this. Like I'm getting into some flow. Now that that's happening, with this square to Jupiter in the 9th, it's like, what else is possible? How do we want to grow next? What do I want to work on next? How do I want to improve myself more now that I've already started to see some achievements roll in? And it starts to help us see like greater and greater possibilities with the square with Jupiter, and also be given more blessings and opportunities coming our way because we're actually open to them right now. This is not the easiest time though, because I am seeing a little bit of energy here with Mercury and a Saturn opposition that can be a little challenging for my Virgos because you are a Mercury ruled sign. So Mercury is in your 1st house right now along with Mars. So you're feeling a lot more energy and trying to want to like organize things, get your shit together, be productive, be efficient, be hardworking. And the universe is calling you towards that. But with Saturn exactly opposite Mercury at the time of this full moon and Saturn in your 7th house, there may be some elements that come into your life that challenge this or delay this. So this is specifically coming in through other people, relationships, or responsibilities connected to people in your life. So maybe there are ways in which you want to be productive and you want to be organized, but then somebody comes in and they give you 10 more stacks of papers on your desk and it's like, we need you to do this. Or you finally feel like you're trying to get into a routine and wake up early and take care of your health, but then your kids are staying up really late at night and they're crying and they're sick, and it's just like there's something about other people that might feel like a little bit of a deterrent. But ultimately what this is trying to do is it's trying to keep you kind of flexible and bendy and able to see that life is not perfect, and that's okay, and that you don't have to be the same every day, and that that's not even possible, and that you can't always be 110%, and then that's, again, totally okay. So I think this is really trying to encourage you to keep trying your best, but recognize that there are limitations, that we are human, and that sometimes these limitations come from the outside and not from ourselves. And that's something that we can't always control. We also see with Mars in the first house trying Jupiter in the ninth that you are energized right now. You are expansive right now. You are willing to work towards these goals, towards these dreams, these visions, these opportunities that are coming into your brain of what's next. You're willing to put in the work. You have the capacity to do so. And there might just be a few things here and there that delay you, but ultimately you're going to get to where you want to go. So don't worry about that. So let's talk about some of these cards. I really feel like you're moving into a period of strong manifestation. With this Magician and the Three of Pentacles, I feel like you're also manifesting people into your life, support into your life to make certain things happen. So these could be drawing in your ideal clients. This could be drawing in your ideal friendships or other people that you can collaborate and work with, which is a very sixth house energy. The sixth house is about colleagues and teamwork and cooperation. So it has a similar thread with the seventh house, but a little different because you're working. It's not just like, oh, I want to do this and like have fun with my friends. It's no, what are we accomplishing together? How do we grow and benefit from one another? And I think you're going to start to realize that, again, you're great at manifesting things right now, and especially drawing in the right support and the right people to make that happen. But just be careful, again, with what I was saying with this Eight of Pentacles in reverse, not to be overly perfectionistic on your path towards development and growth and just being the best you. Like, there are going to be things in life that sputter out and that don't have enough momentum. There are going to be things that are a waste of time. There are going to be people who are distracting us or giving us delays. Maybe just set certain boundaries and not be, again, overly critical of the self if you don't have time for everything, or if you can't, if you just feel like you're not perfect at something. Like, this is a time when we can be just overly critical of ourselves, and it's important to really draw that energy back and focus on things that can bring you joy, and also things that turn your energy inward with the sun in the 12th house, like, you know, artistic activities, spiritual activities, meditation, like those things that reconnect you with your soul and get you out of your brain and your analysis mind that is overly critical. I also pulled the 10 of Pentacles with the 9 of Wands. I was like, what in the world? Because the 10 of Pentacles is the energy of abundance, of feeling stable, of feeling like we're building something really strong in our lives. We have home and family here that feels really strong and supportive. And it's like one of the best, most, again, abundant cards in the deck. But then the 9 of Wands is here. And this is really about like having resilience and courage because we're being tested and our boundaries need to be tested. Our faith is being tested. So I feel like what I'm seeing here is this interesting juxtaposition. And I see this as well with Mercury opposite Saturn happening at the same time. A really beneficial full moon is happening. It's like we're getting the blessings, we're getting the abundance, but then there's still a very critical side of ourselves. There's still part of ourselves. It's like, you're not working hard enough. You're not doing good enough. Da, 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 da. And it's like we can't even just enjoy having a beautiful thing happen. There's always got to be something that needs tending to, that needs improving, that's not good enough. And so I think this energy is trying to show us that we have so many amazing blessings, like the epitome of what we wanted happening for us right now. But with the 9 of Wands, if you're still in this energy of like trying to persevere and struggle, and like, you know, if you're embodying that struggle, it's time to understand when you're doing that and let that go and come into a state of more flow, of more trust, of more ease, that things are going to work out. I think that there's really a fear here of lack. I think you're transitioning out of lack, like something in the past, maybe a few months, has felt like you have been in this struggle and you've had to maybe work really hard for not a lot of money, or maybe you've been struggling in your relationships, but now things are finally getting better. It's like something has like broken, like the water broke and you're no longer in that state. Like you're now coming into a state of getting to enjoy what you've been working on for so long. And it's almost like the transition out of lack is hard. And that seems super weird. You think that like when you get money and you get abundance, or you get the thing that you wanted, you would think that it would just be easy and that things could just click into place and you'd feel amazing and it would be like, oh, this is what I've always wanted. And there is some element of that, but there is also some element of the ingrained struggle still being there and feeling almost like, you know, I have to keep like hustling, or I have to keep like improving myself, or I'm still not doing good enough. And if I slip for 1 second, then it's all going to go away and I'm going to go back to the state of lack that I was in before. Or I'm not going to have that need met like I did before. And I can't relax. I can't And there's that feeling there. And so the Six of Swords is saying you're transitioning right now into the feeling of being able to rest in abundance and not have to control or worry about things kind of slipping through your fingers. This is a time where you can just truly enjoy and soak it up. And really, you're your own worst enemy right now. Although some people might, get in your way a little bit and you might have to set some boundaries. But ultimately, like, you are your own worst critic, and it's your time to release that so that you can fully absorb and enjoy the blessings and the abundance that's trying to come to you right now. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. I'd love to see how this resonates. If you wouldn't mind commenting down below your experience, I know it would help me in my practice and possibly other people on YouTube who are reading those comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you're interested in astrology reading, check me out at willowswomb.com in the description down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra Rising and Sun. For you guys, this Aquarius full moon is happening in your 5th house and it's squaring Jupiter and Taurus in the 8th house. And I like this for you guys a lot. I don't know, I feel like some of you guys might be going on a trip soon with this. Full moons tend to have like a peak period where something comes to fruition. And I think maybe you guys have been planning for a trip, or maybe you have an adventure coming up, or maybe you have family that's going to visit you. Or maybe you just experienced a period of time like that, but there's an energy here that points towards adventure with this Orca card, and a full moon being in the 5th house is very much centered around pleasure and joy, creativity, children, playfulness, and it can embody that sense of adventure that the Orca card is talking about. This card in particular says, dare to do things differently, sing your wild song, manifest your travel dreams, attempt the great journey with confidence. Be loyal. Friends and family are your treasures. Be brave. You are more powerful than you know. I love that. So yes, I think that this full moon is going to bring us very positive vibes and good energy, especially with this square to Jupiter, which is going to help us get out of any kind of like stagnant energy, ruts, negative emotions, things that feel like they kind of hold us down or make us insecure or lacking confidence in general. And so with this square to Jupiter in the 8th, I feel like many of you guys are going to have the potential to maybe feel like you are more abundant, less fearful, less scarce, and able to kind of move forward in life. I will say though, even though there is a lot of good energy from the moon itself, we are having Venus retrograde at this time, and you are Venus ruled sign. So Venus is retrograding in your 11th house in Leo, and it will be making a square to Uranus in your 8th house. So there is a little bit of element of tension here for you, where you a little bit have a foot in the old and a foot in the new. So there are some parts of you that I feel like you are going to be prioritizing. I say this for all the groups, but especially for Taurus and Libra, who are ruled by Venus. And I just saw 222. So this could affect your relationships, especially this is taking place in your 11th house. So you could be really reprioritizing your relationships, how you've gone about putting yourself out in the community. With the 4 of Cups in reverse, many of you guys are going through a moment of maybe being a little bit more alone, even though a full moon in the 5th house is very social in general. I think over the course of this next month, you're going to have periods of time where you're going to retreat for contemplation and ask yourself, like, are these the kinds of relationships that I want? Are these the kinds of people I want to be around? How do I want to put myself out there? If you have a business, like, how do I need to be networking? And what have I been doing that's not working versus what do I want to be doing that I think will work? And so I think you guys are just kind of like going back to the drawing board and asking yourself, am I enjoying this? Like, is this right for me in terms of community, relationships, connection, networking? And even so for some people, long-term goals, dreams, and visions can also become something that you start to question, and you start to ask, what do I really value? What's really, really important to me? And does this goal or this friendship or community align with that system of values? With the Justice in reverse, this card is about unfairness. So if there is something that feels like it's unfair within relationship dynamics, or even with specific goals or things like that, with Venus retrograding in the 5th house, the 11th house, this is really centered around equality. The 11th house is traditionally or in modern times like ruled by a Uranus and Aquarius, and it has this kind of central theme of wanting everybody to be on the same level, on the same plane, again, equality for all. And so if there have been unequal power dynamics, if there have been situations that you give and you show up to but they don't give back, or that thing doesn't kind of like fill you back up, I think you're going to become very aware of that right now, and you may start to realize where there needs to be a change. With the 10 of Wands, the best thing to do is check in with your energy. Where do you feel depleted? Where do you feel like once you've done this thing, it feels like it's a burden or a responsibility, or it's drained you, and then you kind of almost dread doing the thing, or once it's completed you feel like you have nothing left to give yourself. This is really trying to say that there is an energy of completion and wrapping up a cycle with relationships, or with maybe goals or community, whatever those things are for you, that really need to undergo again a reevaluation. And with Venus squaring Uranus in the 8th house, this could bring up some fears, but it's needing you to release yourself from those fears. Like you're like a Libra, as a Libra, you're very other focused. This is really, relationships are important to you, and they are like in general a priority. But sometimes some people are not meant to carry with you forward, or even some goals and things that you've been attending are not in alignment. And sometimes when we have to let things go, it can bring up fears of loss, fears of abandonment, fears of being alone. Well, what about the transition? What about, all of these different areas of my life? And so it can bring up some of those like shadowy elements of the self. And this Uranus square is trying to liberate you from that, so you don't get stuck or bogged down by any cycles in regards to that. And this full moon helps you do that as well, because the full moon in the 5th is all about what lights me up, what brings me pleasure, what brings me joy, what feels authentic to me, what feels in alignment with me as a person and my natural gifts and my natural interests and talents and hobbies, and who pairs up with that, or what goals, what visions pair up with that. And if there's something that's not aligned, that square with Jupiter in the 8th house is saying, let's step out of our comfort zone. Let's grow past this edge of feeling, fearful of being alone or hurting somebody's feelings, and kind of move away from that to become more in alignment with ourselves. And I really feel like that's something that I'm seeing throughout this messaging here with the Queen of Wands in reverse and the 3 of Pentacles. You might even want to work with different people. The Queen of Wands in reverse is all about having self-respect and really having these important boundaries and confidence within yourself, having standards within yourself of what you will and won't tolerate, having a strong sense of self in general, and knowing your worth. And the 3 of Pentacles is like who we surround ourselves with, who we try to build things with in life, what we invest our time and energy into. And so there might be things that you're working on a team with, or that you're implementing into your life, that you're learning, that you're collaborating on, that you are a part of, that that needs more of your attention, and some other things that needs less of your attention because of your standards, because of your worth. And you realize, actually, this thing is draining and it's not giving back to me, and I'm worth more than that. So I'm going to reinvest my energy here where it's more worth it. And that's going to look different how that pans out for different people. I think what's really going to help you guys is Mars in the 12th house trining Jupiter in the 8th. This is really allowing you to let things go with ease, being more willing to let things go, almost taking initiative yourself as well, not just like waiting for things to happen. Like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to facilitate the ending of this thing. I'm going to facilitate the change in this energy, which is really important for you guys. We also have a somewhat difficult transit with Mercury in Virgo opposite Saturn, which is in your 6th house. So Mercury's in the 12th, Saturn in the 6th. I do think that this can bring up, again, sometimes fears and questions around loss and loss of control. That always comes up with Saturn and with the 12th house. But I think it could also just bring up like general anxiety and wanting to make sure like we do it all right. And this could indicate needing to really reflect on what work priorities you have. So like what you've spent your time investing into work wise, or collaborations with work. And it's really saying like, is this the right pairing? How do we need to analyze this in a different way? What would work best long term? So it's like, I think a lot of this is trying to bring you back towards towards yourself more, and like analyzing and seeing if these people or these goals or these jobs really work for you, or if they're not in alignment for you. And I will say orcas are one of the animals that have strong pods and strong relationships, and they pass down things. They have trends, they have community and connection, and they really know how to support one another even in times of crisis. And so I think that you guys are meant to be going through a period of expansion, and before you can do that, you're going through almost like a contraction or moments of self-realization where you're like, okay, this in my life truly cannot carry with me if I want to achieve X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm realizing and I'm seeing this clearly for the first time. And with the South Node being in your sign right now, it is like a year of letting go for you, for the most part, of really trying to get clear on your soul and your identity from a spiritual plane. Like, does this career align with me spiritually on a soul level? And some things won't and some things will, but I feel like you have to do this pruning process in order to really like have the energy and the burst of growth that is calling forth for you in the future. So that's what I'm saying for you, Libra. If that resonates, I'd love to hear in the comments down below. I read all the comments and they mean so much to me, and they also help my practice as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you're interested in astrology reading, check me out at willowswim.com or using the link in the description box down below. Thanks, guys. Bye. All right, up next we have Scorpio Rising and Sun. For you guys, this Aquarius full moon is happening in your 4th house, making a square to Jupiter in Taurus and your 7th house. So there's a really strong message here around having some kind of like bliss, having some kind of relationship, harmony, love, fulfillment, wish fulfillment. And this is something that I feel like everyone is getting to some extent with this full moon. Like, we're really getting the energy of things working out in some kind of capacity. With the moon in the 4th house of full moon here, it's like it's giving you that feeling within your home specifically, because full moons are when we've reached that peak experience and we have the culmination or the signs of something coming full circle, coming to gift us something because of our past efforts. For you, this is in your home, this is in your family, this is in your emotions. So something about this is going to feel a lot more settled, a lot more complete. And with the square to Jupiter in the 7th, I really feel like it's calling in collaboration as well. So like either living with somebody, or there's something around, maybe your relationship is progressing, maybe you move in with somebody, but there's something here where your relationships and your home life start to kind of ease and improve and feel really like optimistic and positive. So if you have a partner, those things can start to get better. In general, it's just trying to give you more of this feeling of bliss. So I'm seeing here with this Knight of Cups card, we have, this is a card of like romance and creativity. And I really feel like this is coming into your relationships along with the 10 of Cups. Like, it can feel this renewal in the relationship, like something feels like it's come alive again, if the relationship felt dead, or if you're not in that, this is like you're opening up to that again. It feels like you're coming back, like your heart is coming back to life, and the desire for this kind of connection is here again. With the 10 of Cups, this is the ultimate wish fulfillment. This is the divine love. This is harmony and alignment. This is true love in every possible form, and like feeling just so satisfied with our connections. And then we have 3 of Pentacles, which is about really having a true partnership, that we can work on something with somebody, that we can create something with somebody, whether it's a family, a business, something in our life, whatever that is. But it feels like there's something that's coming in for you, or that you have the idea of, or that you're feeling, or that's bubbling up underneath the surface, that is in alignment with what I'm saying right now. So it's like you're either getting that loving relationship, or you're having an idea of how to work with somebody and you feel creative and excited and inspired, or you're feeling like your relationship is not stagnant anymore, or you feel like your home life is somehow improving, or you found something that really works for you. There's something here where you're like getting a wish fulfilled and you're feeling just very, very content. And this is something that I see with this Peacock card, where it really wants you to like be grateful for the good things that are coming in, because I don't think that everything is perfect. Let me just say that there are some mixed energies outside of the moon that are happening, and I'm going to talk about them in a second, but there's some really great things that have come to you in the recent past or at this period of time, and it's something that you need to focus on and be grateful for. This peacock says vibrancy, and I feel like the vibrancy element of this is like feeling like you're coming back to life, like things have more color, you're more aware, you're less depressed, you feel more awake, you maybe feel more physically vital as well. And it says, you are born to shine and inspire. Practice humility to avoid jealousy. Be grateful for life and more good things will come. That's important. Be true to yourself and recognize your brilliance. So I definitely feel like you guys are feeling like you are more aligned with yourself now than ever before. And that's part of why you're reaching this state of like contentment and fulfillment and more alignment in relationships and with people in your life, because the more that you are truly yourself and are happy with yourself, the more you're going to encounter people who align with that and who are not trying to change you, because you're already content with being who you are. And it also says practice humility to avoid jealousy. So I do still think there are some aspects of life that you could be jealous of other people having. So maybe somebody else has more money than you, or if you don't have a relationship, maybe that's something that you are seeing and you're like, I wish I had that. So there are going to be things in life that you're going to see a lack with, that I think it's very important that you reconnect with what you have in your life right now to be grateful for, because you do have a lot of blessings. And this is saying that you have something in your life right now is something you've always wanted. Either it's a feeling, it's an idea, it's an experience with a person, it's a home that you found. There's something in your life that you've wanted that you have, and you might overlook it, or you might focus on the negative or the lack because of this other transit that's going on, which is Mercury opposite Saturn. Mercury's in the 11th and Saturn's in Virgo, and Saturn's in the 5th. And Mercury in Virgo already has a very like nitpicky energy that's focused on lack. Then when we have an opposition with Saturn, it focuses on lack, and we can start to feel like we don't always have what we want, or we can't always get what we want. And the reality is that you actually do have something really beautiful, and we're all getting something beautiful at this full moon, whether it's, you know, however it ends up being. And so this is really trying to say, like, appreciate it anyway. There's always going to be something that is missing, and there may be something missing in this situation right now. But that's just a temporary delay, and we can have the full picture, but it's going to take time, and it might not all come at once. Usually life, very rarely, every single aspect of our life goes well at once. You know, either our health is bad, but our relationships are good, or our relationships are bad, but our career is good. And it's like, it's very rarely all on the same page, all headed in a positive direction. So just be grateful for like what you have right now. And I think that you'll see that more things will continue to come to you. With Mars in the 11th house as well in Virgo, trining Jupiter in the 7th, this is a really great time for you guys to put yourself out there in relationships and connections. That's something that I'm seeing very strongly. Meeting new people, meeting new friends, trying to collaborate with more people, join different hobbies or things that interest you, or different kind of communities. There's something in this energy that's like wanting you to create some family of your own. And I think this full moon in Aquarius can feel like that. Like, this is my chosen family. Or at the very least, to feel comfortable and to feel safe and to feel secure in your own skin, to express yourself with all these different kinds of people. So I think that's important. I do think that you guys are going through a period of not fully knowing where you're headed with your life and relationships right now. With Venus retrograding in your 10th house of career, and then it's squaring Uranus in the 7th. I feel like some of you guys are achieving like this super, super bliss of relationships. And I think other of you guys are wanting that, but you are getting something else as a blessing, but you're wanting that blissed out relationship, and you're wondering if it's possible, or you're wondering if it's out there, or, you know, if you can have that or whatever. And I think that anxiety around that. Like, is this person for me, or am I ever going to find that person? Is this going to happen to me? I feel like that questioning is something that this Venus retrograde is bringing up. Like, you're wanting to create a future with somebody, or you have specific goals and you're not sure how certain people in your current reality fit into that, or if you're going to ever manifest the right people that will fit into that. And I think that there's just a lot of questions around, like, who's in my corner? Who do I love? Where do I want to go? Does this person belong with me? Do they want the same things? And there's just lots of questions around values and priorities and connections that I think are coming up right now. You know, even if you do have a really amazing relationship, that could come into another area of your life, or there could be certain contracts that are under review that are, again, like, questionable, that you're not totally sure about. But there's something where many of you guys are just needing to make a decision about something, but you're kind of reaching an impasse with the Two of Swords and the Ten of Wands. You're reaching this feeling of uncertainty and not being able to decide, that maybe you're avoiding it altogether. Maybe you're just refusing to do anything, and you're kind of just like taking on the unsustainable burden of this question, like, do I want this? Do I not want this? Do I want this? Do I not want this? And like driving yourself insane. So I just see that there's a blessing in your life. There's some sort of blessing in some area that could be coming in your home, specifically your family, your emotional nature, your ability to feel safe with yourself and comfortable. Family, I think I already mentioned that. That's probably where the blessing will occur. But I think that you guys are just looking at kind of like the grass is greener on the other side, which is honestly a little bit of a typical Scorpio thing. I will say that. And so if that's happening for you, like, make sure that you're grateful for what you have so that you can manifest more of what you want along that line of energy. And if there's a decision that you need to make, I kind of want to pull a card around like what to do with that. Because I feel like you guys do need to make a decision, and this is weighing on you. There's some kind of, you know, there's some, this is too many cards. I just want one. All right. The Bear. So the Bear card. Let's see what it says in the book, and then I'll kind of. Waking from spiritual slumber, begin anew. After a long winter, the bear arises from deep slumber. At first, the movement and effort are difficult, but the bear knows it's time to awaken and move toward the light. The bear card represents an individual on the cusp of new directions and personal transformation. The initial weeks and months of the spiritual quest may feel tricky, cumbersome, and full of obstacles. But you have no choice, bear. Winter wanes, the warmth of spring emerges, and your transformation begins. So even though you might be hesitating to make a certain change with this square with Venus and Uranus, ultimately I feel like the change is upon us. The change is coming, whether we want to avoid it or not. So if you're trying to decide between something old and something new, this is really telling you that you're being pushed into something new. And that's what Uranus does anyway. So I feel like this message is kind of contradicting itself. But I feel like you know, there are so many Scorpios, so it's really hard to say one thing or another thing. But I do think that everyone is experiencing the potential for one blessing, uncertainty in an area of their life, and the possibility of someone else having what they want, so jealousy, and kind of looking at the grass is greener. So just being aware of those themes, and if those relate to you, I'd love to hear down in the comments below. The comments really help me in my practice, and I think they help other people as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowsboom.com, and I'll link that down in the description below. Thanks. Bye. All right, Sagittarius. I wanted to say, I just recorded your video. It's a little bit windy to get to the point. There's a couple of minutes there at the beginning where I feel like my brain was quite scattered. So I would encourage you to watch till the end, because I feel like it really came up more into clarity, more succinct towards the end. So if you're like, what the fuck is she talking about? Just bear with me for the first couple of minutes. Maybe you can kind of listen to my voice on speed up and let me know what you think about that message. All right, up next we have Sagittarius Rising and Sun. This full moon in Aquarius is happening in your third house and is making a square to Jupiter in your sixth. And what I've been saying for everyone is that we're really getting a blessing here from this energy. We are given the potential of a new idea, a new path, a new feeling, something that even can manifest physically for us that really feels like it's celebrating our ways of sticking to our authenticity or spreading our unique gifts and our individuality through the world, our unique opinions, all that stuff. And so for you, this is really coming into the area of your mindset. And with the square to Jupiter in the sixth, it's going to help you within your everyday work and routine. I feel like there's been something about maybe your responsibilities or the things that you've kind of had to take care of that may feel like, again, this energy, I think I mentioned in the last reading for you, Sagittarius, that there's a little bit of this conflict between work and home that's been going on. I think that that's going to be a little bit present still during this full moon because, first of all, Mercury is in the 10th house in Virgo, but it's opposite Saturn in the 4th house. So I think you could feel a little bit of this pressure of like, I'm not doing good enough, or I have so much to handle, or I want to pursue work, but I have all these responsibilities at home and I have things holding me back. So that's kind of already there. But what I feel like is positive with this is, let me come back to the moon in a second. I know I kind of started off with that, but bear with me here. Building off of this, with Mars in the 10th house, trining Jupiter in the 6th. So Mars is also in Virgo, trining Jupiter in the 6th. I feel like you guys are gaining more clarity on what you need to do in your everyday life to get you to a specific goal in your long-term life. So maybe this could look like getting more organized with your life, getting more productive or efficient, concerned with particular matters. Like, I need to look at this and prioritize things in this way in order to get this all done by this day. And I need to work with these people and organize it like this. And so there's something here with the Sagittarius full moon that I feel like you guys are going to be able to kind of capture that all mentally and feel like you have an understanding. Like, this is what I need to move forward. This is what I need to communicate. This is the contract that I need to sign. It feels like very pragmatic, even though that's not what I'm seeing in the cards. I think a lot of this is like it has this kind of Virgoan nature, this, Gemini nature, which is 3rd, 6th house axis. It's like the thoughts, the routines, the work, the implementations of things, the tasks, and how that all pieces together to create our goals, our reality, to move us forward in life, to progress us. And so there's something about like how, again, because this is Aquarius, it's specifically how you want it done. And it's like your individual way. So you're not just checking things off the to-do list that somebody else gives you. This is individualized. So the way that I think about things, the way that I plan things, the way that I go towards my goals, the way that I'm productive or efficient, or I'm having this, breakthrough of ideas, all of these things are uniquely you. So you have your spin on them. You're, again, fitting them into your life in the way that best suits you. And so I feel like this full moon is giving you the opportunity to feel like you have this master plan or control over your life, or control over things, control over your mindset, control over your routine, and are fitting it in a way that like suits your life a lot better. I feel like how things were before may have felt with the 7 of Swords. This is like a card of getting away with something. It's also acting strategically. But deception, that type of thing, it's like somebody getting away with something. It's very literally what it means. There's something about, I feel like, the way that you were thinking or moving through life before that was betraying your inner needs. And this is funny because this is a moon in Aquarius, which is where this full moon is. Aquarius can actually sometimes betray their own emotions specifically, because they can feel like logically there are all these reasons why they should actually believe something or react in some way and not have certain feelings or emotions about something. So it's like, I don't want to be jealous because everyone is free and I shouldn't, feel that way. And like, that's not like a high version of my expression. So I'm just going to like suppress that feeling. That's a very typical Aquarius experience. And actually the feeling is still there. It's just like trapped inside and not expressed and not seen and not heard. And I feel like that's what was happening with the Seven of Swords, but with the self. Like there's something about the way that you were moving through your life, or the way that you were thinking about things, or thinking about yourself or your routines or responsibilities or something of this nature that was very much present with you, but that you maybe like bulldozed yourself, or you weren't really recognizing, like sitting with your own unique needs and complying with like how you actually feel and honoring that. I hope this is making sense, especially because we have the Queen of Cups after, and the Queen of Cups is very intuitive. It's very emotional. It's very in the flow, like in the flow state with her own like feelings that she was in. And sometimes we get into places in life where we can't really honor our own intuition and feelings because we have responsibilities or certain things that are just like not, they don't care how we feel. Like if you have a kid, they don't care if you feel sick one day. You still have to feed them. You still have to take care of them. But who's taking care of you? There's an energy of like, again, having to betray your own needs, your own emotions, ignore them, put them aside to care for others, or to do this thing that you like said you were going to do or committed to, or you're doing something in a way that didn't feel in alignment, but you had to because of X, Y, and Z. And I feel like you've turned this corner with this full moon where now you can actually just truly live more in alignment for you. I don't know what's changing in your life, or if it's just like your mindset's changing, or the way that you're approaching your responsibilities are changing. But there's something here where I feel like you're going to operate in a way that's, again, individualized and more catered towards your unique experience and needs and emotions, so that you don't have to like shove parts of yourself to the side. I still think you're going to have to balance your work and your home dynamic, and that might feel a little bit at odds, but there's something here around the way that you're maneuvering that is improving. The way that you're thinking about it, talking about it, experiencing is like more fluid and in the flow with you. And you're ending this experience, you're completing this experience of maybe having to go through a little bit of a cycle of not fully honoring your own needs because of a persisting experience or responsibility or something of that nature. So I hope that this is resonating, because this is like a really odd message, kind of specific. And I really feel like Mars in the 10th, trying Jupiter in the 6th, is really merging these elements of your life, like how you go about living your everyday in a way that's in alignment for you, that maybe slows things down. Like this is going to look different for everyone, but it could, because Jupiter is in Taurus in the 6th, maybe it's slowing things down. Maybe it's feeling more stable. Maybe there's more consistency. There's something about it that's more nurturing to the self that I think is coming more in alignment here, that your brain can relax. It's like less hectic. Again, there's still this, you're still having responsibilities, but there's something about it that feels like it clicked into place, or you can cater it to your needs. There's something like that feels better. And Mars, and because that's happening, and with Mars in 10th also there, you're more energized and you have more capacity to like reach for your long-term goals. And this way of being helps you grow. It helps you like move forward in life, because you are feeling more taken care of. You are feeling better in this process of your day-to-day life. It's like if you have a screaming baby and they're waking up every night, you can't really think about like, oh, I'm dreaming of my future and what I'm going to do there. It's like, I mean, you can, but you're so tired. You're just trying to survive. And I feel like you're coming back out of a phase like that, out of a survival phase, and more into a phase of more mental relaxation. I also pulled this Three of Wands in reverse. And this is talking about like playing small, lack of foresight, unexpected delays. And so that could still be happening. Like there could still be ways in which you have certain delays, because again, Saturn is opposite Mercury. So there could still be things in your life where you're like, I can't really pursue things to the fullest right now because I have responsibilities at home. But you have, with Mars there, you have more energy and more capacity, and this transit is really fast. So it's like you're going to actually be on top of this soon after this full moon. So it's like maybe there's a little bit of delays, but it's pretty insignificant. And then you can go out there and make certain things happen. But I think you were getting bogged down too much in those delays before. I think you were, again, lacking foresight because you were in survival mode, or you're having to take care of things right now. You were able to like think well into the future. But now with the sun in the ninth house, you're thinking about your future. You're thinking about what lies ahead. You're in a growth mindset right now, and not just a survival mindset, not just a stress mindset. So this Three of Wands, I feel like, is wrapping up for you. But again, you might still be making some changes because Venus is retrograding in your ninth house. So even though you're in this expansive mindset, you're not settled on the vision. You're not settled completely on where you're going yet. That's still actually under review for you. You're growing in a way that feels exciting. And I feel like you're like pumped about like what could be ahead, or a certain goal or a certain commitment that you have that's going to be like big for you. But the vision of your life and the meaning and the purpose and all of your values and your morals, those things are still, they are currently under review with Venus retrograde. And with the square to Uranus in the 6th, with Venus squaring Uranus in the 6th, I feel like what that's saying is this retrograde period where you're analyzing like where you want to go, what you believe, what you want your vision to look like, what you want your morals and values to look like. As those are updating, the way that you handle your job or your routines or your responsibility will also update in tandem with it. But because it's a square, there is some element of tension there. So that might not happen seamlessly is what I mean to say with that. I also pulled the the Hermit in reverse, which is about isolation, loneliness, and withdrawal. So I feel like part of what this experience has been like for you in the past has been that you, like the stress or survival, the not being able to really feel like you can do things your way. I think it's because maybe you've had a little bit of like the world on your shoulders, and with this Hermit card, you've been a little bit alone. Maybe you've like quite literally been alone, or you haven't had the support that you've needed. And I think what this full moon is trying to come in and say is that you are being supported now. You're not just doing the supporting of others. You are now being taken care of a little bit. I pulled this Black Bear Guardian card. And I feel like you guys are now having a guardian come take care of you, like an angel, which is very much a Jupiter quality, like feeling like you have angelic protection or ancestral protection. An angel could be coming a little bit and like whispering in your ear, making you feel better, or there's some kind of energetic protection happening right now that's trying to take care of you because you have maybe been in the cycle of really having to neglect your own needs. This card says, gentle and wise protector, give me your confidence and power. Help me protect the ones I love. Awaken my intuition and guide me. So you're still protecting other people, but now you are being protected too in some kind of capacity. I feel like that was super esoteric and abstract, but I hope that connected with you. If it did, please let me know down below in the comments. Literally just anything. Just say like Sagittarius resonated, something so I actually know which sign you are. And if it didn't, also let me know, because I feel like this message was super odd and roundabout, and I hope that it was helpful though. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willowsbloom.com. And I promise those are not as abstract because I will see your chart. So thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Capricorn Rising and Sun. For you guys, this Aquarius full moon is happening in your second house of finances, making a square to Jupiter in the 5th. So there is a positive energy coming in with this full moon, because ultimately a beautiful square to Jupiter, even though a square can sometimes be tense, ultimately, because Jupiter is such a benefic planet and this is in great houses for you, you're going to get a positive culmination of something. In your house of finances, things that you own, as well as what you believe are things that you bring to the table, aka self-confidence and self-worth, those areas of your life are undergoing an improvement. And it's because of what I believe are things that you've done that have aligned with your authentic truth that maybe other people didn't understand, or maybe it was difficult because you had to break with the status quo, but you aligned with your authentic truth and followed yourself in a certain direction. in your life, and now you're growing more confidence, or you're making more money, or you're making certain purchases or decisions in your life that feels like it's moving you forward. And with the square to Jupiter in the fifth, it's really something that feels like this next phase or what's coming for you right now. It not only gives you this confidence, but it's also something that reflects more of your nature, more of your innate gifts, more of your creative side, more of your playful side, more of the sense of joy and ease in your life. And it just feels, it's going to feel good, basically. I feel like before, kind of what was happening was you were maybe feeling trapped, because I did pull this horse card with the word freedom, and I'll come back to this in a second, but I feel like you guys were trapped somehow. And I think with this Magician reverse, you were trapped in this area of really not moving forward on things that brought you that joy, and that actually were things that you were naturally really good at, these untapped talents, really, which is what the Magician reverse means. But now with this full moon, I feel like you guys are unlocking that. Whatever was keeping you kind of stuck or held back or trapped in some kind of way is now being let loose. And now you're finally looking at your potential, and you're feeling inspired, and you're seeing new opportunities for you to embrace these talents or embrace these gifts. Even if they're just in the mental plane, at the very least, you're having the ideas of how you can do this. But this is a full moon in the second house, which has a lot of physicality to it. So I think many of you guys are maybe buying something that you're going to work on later, that you're excited about. Maybe you're investing in your talents and gifts, or maybe you are having evidence that you have already done that, and you're getting evidence of a reward of that. So like, let's say you've been working on expressing yourself more recently, then you might get some more money because of the way that you've been performing, or, whatever. I mean, that's a terrible example, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. A reward for your talents and gifts that you're finally expressing, or you're just finally starting to do it in general. And so I think that this is going to be a time of, again, more freedom for you. This card says your heart is pure and free. A greater purpose calls you. And that's what I feel like is the heart calling you towards something that will open you up, make you feel free, make you feel more confident and in alignment. You have unlimited reserves of stamina and strength. You follow the winds of change and accomplish your dreams. I think that's the winds of change is important here, because being a free horse, basically, or person, life goes through many twists and turns, and it goes through many changes. And I think sometimes, like, when we are able to embody a sense of childlike wonder and curiosity and joy, and really pursuing like where our heart takes us, when changes happen or when life gets in the way, it feels a lot easier to handle, because we're living our life in a specific way that feels more gentle, that feels more playful. But if we are already feeling like life is hard, or we're having to endure, when things change and when we have to face certain things of life that's inevitable, it can sometimes feel like, oh, like the straw that broke the camel's back, because I was already pushing so hard, and now the whole game just changed on me and I'm not succeeding anymore. It's like, and it can feel very overwhelming. But if you're in this state of flow and joy and ease, which is not always accessible, but is something we can, try to soften into more. When you're in that, it's just like you're more malleable. It's like when somebody falls gets in a car accident when they're drunk, or falls when they're really drunk, and their body doesn't stiffen, and so they actually get less injured, and they're more malleable to the change or the fall, Whereas if you stiffen up, like, then you're kind of fucked. So that's how I see this. And like Capricorn has a rigidity to it because it's ruled by Saturn. And so I think you're trying this full moon is bringing in like more of the joys of life that creates a little bit of that feeling of malleability and adaptability and going with the flow that I think is going to be really nice. Although full moon in the second house doesn't have the energy of going with the flow necessarily. It is more like I have this under control, but it's still done in a way that I feel like is playful because of that square with Jupiter. So I hope that makes sense for you so far. I also pulled the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, and there's something about, I feel like, what you were working on before that didn't have a long-term like vision for you. Like it wasn't rewarding for you. Like it's like you're going every day and like putting so much work into your neighbor's garden, and you never get any of the food, or you never get to like actually sit and enjoy the flowers because it's in their yard and you can't see it, and you're just doing all this for somebody else. It has that feeling of like, why am I doing this? What reward is this leading to? What's this long-term potential and purpose of this? And I feel like you were investing your time and energy into things that like that before, that didn't actually feel like once you made it after all that time of trying that it was worth it. And with this 10 of Wands, not only was that the case, but also like the journey in and of itself felt like a burden and felt like it was unsustainable and exhausting. And now I feel like you're coming into a phase where you're like, no, I want to have a new way of thinking about things. I have a clear mind now. I know what I want. I have the greater potential of success because I'm more in tune with my truth. And there's a breakthrough. There's a breakthrough of this limitation of this being stuck in a cycle of like, I need to suffer. I need to do this. And work has to be hard. And you have like maybe beliefs or weird things that are like not true. And life can actually be simple. Life can actually be fun. Life can be pleasurable. And that's what Jupiter and Taurus is trying to teach us. But there's something about that might have felt foreign to you at certain periods of time. And I feel like you're coming out of that. You're really embracing more of this, good times are coming type of energy. We also have Mars pretty close to Mercury in Virgo in the 9th house that is helping you reach for things that feel expansive to you. It is opposite Saturn in the 3rd, so there are going to be moments where your fear can come up, or where you have limiting thoughts, or you might feel critical of certain things, and that can limit you, but this is a pretty quick transit, so I'm not too concerned about that overall. Mars in the 9th is also trining Jupiter in the 5th, so Mars is here being like, even if you have those thoughts, it's okay, baby girl, because I'm going to act anyway. I'm going to act on the inspiration, on the creativity, on the thing that feels free and exciting and fun. And ultimately, it's going to lead us to a better, more malleable future, like I said. You're also having Venus retrograde in Leo in your 8th house. I did a whole video on this. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. But ultimately, Venus retrograde is helping us reestablish our priorities. So we change, people update, and we need a software update. Where am I spending my time, my money, my energy? How do I hold things in certain hierarchies or esteem? And that's what Venus is trying to help us recognize. For you, this is happening in your 8th house, which I think I talked about this specifically already, but it's almost like sometimes when we have stuff in the 8th house, we can really like hold on to what's there. Like we can really hold on to our fears, our insecurities, the things that have really negatively affected us in life, and we store them all there. And when Venus retrogrades, it's kind of like we're going out and we're deciding like, actually, this is not, I don't really want to let this hold me back anymore. I don't really want to believe this anymore. I don't really want to have this as like the storyline in my life anymore. And with Venus squaring Uranus in the 5th, I feel like that is really what is creating the freedom for you, is that you are updating your programming on what is troubling you, on what is causing you pain, or what's causing feelings of lack, or what's causing feelings of doubt. And you're upgrading all that programming to be like, I don't want to focus on that. I don't want to prioritize that. I don't want this to be running my life anymore. Like, I want freedom. I want change. And I think that that's what you guys are doing right now. And that's what the true freedom actually is for you. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn. If that resonates, I would love to hear it down below in the comments. I read all the comments and they mean a lot to me to be able to help my practice and get to know who is on the other side of the screen. So I really appreciate that if you do. Don't forget to also subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading, definitely check me out at willowsbloom.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Aquarius, Sun, and Rising. This full moon is happening in your 1st house, or of course wherever your sun is, whatever house your sun is at. But we're going to be looking at it for mostly Rising. So for a full moon being in your 1st house and squaring Jupiter and Taurus in your 4th, you are definitely being given more blessings in your life for growth and general advancement. And I think ultimately it's bringing you a lot of healing and emotional security. I think that's the primary way that you're growing. But that alone frees up so much capacity in your life to achieve more, to do more, to have more, to be friends with more people. But it's like what really, really matters is that you feel good, right? And I think that's what this full moon is going to give you. So ultimately, a square with Jupiter like this, it creates this feeling of optimism and really being able to see the higher meaning, the bigger picture, the silver lining of things that have probably been difficult in the past. Especially with Jupiter in your fourth house, you are in a period of being able to expand emotionally. So this does have to do with your home and your family, and this could look like having some progressing, movements in that area of your life. But when it comes to your emotions, I feel like you're almost able to hold or contain more or process more things and not be bogged down with like old kind of static sludgy energy. I feel like there's, if there have been things that have been reoccurring in your mind or have been really bothering you, this full moon is really helping you release those things. And if you have been ignoring things or suppressing things, it's bringing them up to the surface to be released, but in a positive way. Like it doesn't feel necessarily very traumatic. I will say there's a hard aspect going on with Mercury and Saturn, Mercury in the 8th, Saturn the 2nd. That can sometimes bring up, fear around loss and fear around the past repeating itself and can make us really hard on ourselves. And that can sometimes be painful. But overall, I really feel like that's serving a purpose of just kind of pointing out the old stuff. And this full moon is helping you like fully just release all of that. So if that does come up, if you are fearful, if you are insecure and you're trying to grow and expand some way in your life and you're like, oh, I don't know. And the past kind of comes up again. It's like this full moon is truly putting that to bed and being like, we're not going to, that's an old thing. Like that's old. We're not going to repeat that anymore. And I think that what's really helping this as well is Mars being in the 8th along with Mercury, trining Jupiter in the 4th. So it's helping us really take the actions that we need, or even just like have the internal bravery and courage to emotionally allow ourselves to just like face something and let it go and synthesize it, make meaning out of it like Jupiter does, and truly use that as a way to support ourselves rather than undermine ourselves. Because when things are unconscious, they can undermine us without us realizing it. But when we sit there and we face it head on and we're like, I'm not scared of you, then it backs down and it really doesn't re-traumatize us again and again. So that's kind of what I feel like is happening. But again, this feels very expansive. This feels very positive. This feels very uplifting, harmonizing. It doesn't have the energy of being like this, dark night of the soul type of thing, even though I'm kind of seeing that in the cards a little bit. I think that's what's happening inside, but it's actually coming out quite light and it doesn't feel like you're going through what you're going through, if that makes sense. Like it truly, I feel like this full moon is one of blessings, and that's really how I'm perceiving it. One thing that I find really interesting is with this card that I pulled for you, I got this Jaguar Old Soul card, and it really gave me the energy of past lives, passed over loved ones, and very like shadowy things, like because it's so dark. Like it really has this element of things that have been hidden from view that are shadowy, or again from ancestry or from past lives, like I mentioned, or passed on loved ones. So I feel like there is actually support to bring healing to those areas of our life. So either passed on loved ones are coming here and actually acting as like a guardian to provide more support. It says you have power from beyond the world. There's something like beyond your current reality of visibility that is visible to you, that is empowering you, that's helping you through this process. This could be, again, passed on loved ones, other parts of yourself, other souls from other lifetimes. It could be that you're going and you're healing stuff all the way back through ancestral lines, or into your previous lives, like you're healing energy from that. There's something here where it's carrying beyond the scope of what we can see, and you're either getting support or doing healing that is, again, beyond this world of some capacity. And so that's really cool to me. I think that you guys, whatever this is, it runs quite deep. And I think that this full moon, especially if it's aspecting a personal planet, has the power to really uplift and transform and shed you of some dark layers or some past things that might not even be yours that you could have inherited. So many things. And if some of you have had loss, I feel like this will help you process that loss. This can mean a lot of things, and hopefully you will be able to personalize it to you, since this is a collective reading. But I think ultimately also with Venus retrograding in your 7th house, there is another message of having relationships as maybe a source of a problem. Venus retrograde, it really helps us reprioritize our relationships with people, and what is going well and what isn't going well. And it does tend to kind of make relationships struggle a little bit more. So if you notice that that's a little bit frustrating, all of that I think is serving a purpose. It's coming up to kind of bring things to the surface again, to help you process and let things go, and maybe make some changes so that you can feel better and feel more free and feel more released from maybe patterns that you've been stuck in, that again might be actually from family lines or from a past life, or things that you've kind of carried forward energetically that just don't need to be there anymore, that aren't even from you, that really aren't like serving you, or they don't feel personal, like they don't feel that personal. So there's an additional message there. But I can definitely see that with like the 3 of Swords being the first card. This is really showing how your pains, maybe even in relationships specifically, have definitely influenced you in the past. And I feel like they have been things that you've ignored or suppressed. With this 4 of Cups, like you've kind of ignored your feelings. This is a very Aquarius thing to do. It can be sometimes very overwhelming. And so Aquarius can tend to detach and float away and kind of like have an avoidant attachment style to some traumatic things. So that could have happened to you, but I feel like this full moon is bringing it out and helping you release it with this moon in reverse. It's saying, let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not deceive ourselves. Let's feel this. Let's see it, and let's take the power and the energy away from whatever this is, so that we can actually feel like we are whole and we are ourselves, and we're not just trying to operate with a dimly lit light. We're fully allowing ourselves to see everything in our psyche, in our life. This Jaguar Old Soul card says, walk through life with confidence and grace. You have power beyond the world. Focus on what you really want. You can create your dreams. So the last 2 cards that I have are the Knight of Cups and Queen of Swords. So the Knight of Cups is upright, and the Queen of Swords is reversed. So one of the things that's coming through here is that there is some coping style that I think you may have been oscillating between being like cold and detached, and this other one of being like overly idealizing, overly romanticizing something. So it really has the energy of like swinging between extremes of like love bombing, or like really feeling like this is my person, this is it, and like daydreaming and fantasy and escaping that way. And then the other one of like, I'm not feeling anything, I've shut down my heart, I'm in a completely logical state, or like in a bitch mode. And you're kind of like, you could go, maybe some of you resonate more with one or the other, or maybe some of you resonate with oscillating between. But I feel like you're coming out of this phase of doing that. And this might actually be something that, again, was inherited, or you had from a past life, or was brought up from these pains that you've been repressing, that you've been pushing aside. And it's like that side of you is going to become a lot more balance, because again, you're not going to have to be like running or hiding from these different aspects of the self. So I hope that this resonates, Aquarius. I'd love to hear down in the comments below if that lands for you and how. I definitely love to read all the comments and see how it pertains to your life, because that helps my practice and other people. If you enjoy this, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Also subscribe and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willsboom.com, which I'll link in the description box down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. And last but never least, we have Pisces Rising and Sun. This Aquarius full moon is happening in your 12th house and is squaring Jupiter in the 3rd. And I love that I pulled the butterfly card for you guys, because it really does feel like what this is, which says rebirth on it. And I'll come back to that in a second. But a full moon in the 12th really has this element of us needing to go back into our cocoon phase, into our kind of like obliteration of the self to be put back together again once we reemerge in the first. So usually there's a process of letting go, of discovery, of becoming, of the void, of the transition, and those things can be very uncomfortable. And a full moon in the 12th house is urging you, is showing you that there's such a beautiful blessing. This particular full moon is beautiful with this square with Jupiter. There's such a beautiful blessing on the other side of this transformation, on the other side of this glow up and this rebirth that you are going through. And you may have to release some things in the process around your identity, your beliefs, your habits, your friends, your community, your job, anything about your life. But really what it does is it releases you from attachments that were holding you back and preventing you from flying. And so you're coming into the phase of being reborn, especially when it comes to your mindset with the square of Jupiter in the third house. I think you've been playing small and thinking small. And I think a lot of us have. And this full moon is really drawing that to our attention, how we've been not really like planning long term. We've been really playing it short term and again, thinking way too small, and it's really kept us limited. And with the square to Jupiter, it wants us to like explode our mind. It wants us to think in paradigms that we've never considered and in ways that we've never even conceived of. And how can you do that if you're kind of trying to adhere towards a specific identity and way of being that you've always had? It's like, no, we have to completely reinvent this. We have to completely go back to the drawing board and think about things from a completely new set of eyes, and then take that and then make it even bigger. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't solve a problem with the same, way that you've created it. There's something like that. And I think there's a similar vein here with that, where it's like, you can't become this epic, amazing, crazy person without trying to completely look at your life through a different lens and challenge the way that you've thought about things before, believed before, and just accept it as reality. It's like, no. What if this was possible? What if we did it like this? What if I lived my life like that? What if I became like this? And so you're in this area of limitless possibilities, and this full moon is trying to give you some blessings around, if you adhere to your truth and your individuality and you express yourself the way that you want to when you want to, you will feel that when you are reborn, this is the best experience you've ever had. And so just a really beautiful message coming there for you guys. I think that you need to be alone to do this with the 3 of Cups in reverse. This is like really drawing your energy back. If you've been hanging out with friends, this is like not the time. Let's focus on us. Let's focus on our inward journey. And what's funny is I pulled the Chariot in reverse. So when I saw this, I heard going nowhere fast. So I feel like you guys have maybe been either you're distracted or you're not focusing on the right things. There's something in your energy right now where like you need to go within. And if you keep trying to do a lot, like you're going to go nowhere fast. Or maybe you've already been in that energy. Maybe you've already been doing like things that aren't really moving the needle forward in your life in the way that you want. Instead, what the focus is for you with this 8 of Pentacles is to master a skill, to really like put your energy into one thing and the right thing, like to really focus and hone in on this like dedication and consistency and discipline to become, again, very, very skilled at something in your life. And this looks like doing it over and over and over again until you get really, really good. So there's something about your energy that you're going through this rebirth. You have all these limitless possibilities. And yet at the same time, like something about the way that you've been going about things in the past has been just too scattered, or it wasn't the right thing. And it was like progressing you, but going, and it's taking you right back in a circle, if that makes sense. Like I really like a hamster wheel. It's like you're running and running and running, and you feel like you're getting ahead, but then you swoop right back and you're kind of like, well, this is just more of the same. And so I feel like what this is saying is you have all these possibilities because you're getting rid of some things in your life and you're changing as a person. But if you really actually want to get ahead, you need to truly focus on like what your intuition is telling you to do. And you're only going to know that if you're alone, if you take time to check in. And then actually, when you grab onto that and you feel ready, dedicate yourself to that fully and completely. And you will see how your life changes and progresses and you actually move ahead. So I don't know why I'm getting so many visuals for you, but you are Neptune ruled. So maybe that's why. Okay. You also have Mars, which is kind of close to Mercury in Virgo in the 7th house right now. So relationships are definitely a focus and a priority for you. But with Saturn in the 1st house opposite this, you might feel a little bit conflicted between working on yourself and your own personal development and the attention that your relationships or people in your life are naturally requiring of you. So there's a little bit of a juxtaposition here and needing to find a balance, doing your best. This is a pretty short-term transit, not super concerning, but something to just be aware of that might feel limiting in your life right now, that you kind of want to put towards relationships, but you need to put energy towards yourself. And it's like, how do I balance this? Really, I think the most important thing here is making sure that you absolutely show up for yourself no matter what. That's super key. Mars in the 7th is trining Jupiter in the 3rd. So there is some element here of being motivated by relationships, and that other people can be a source of inspiration for you to expand your mind. So just like I was saying before, how like you need to put new glasses on, you need to like blow your mind up and like see through completely new eyes. You're not going to be able to do that on your own. You're going to need other people to help you with that. Maybe that's a therapist, maybe that's your mom, maybe that's a best friend, but there's someone in your life that you really need to like intervene or like help you completely change your lens or offer an inspirational example, like something that gives you the ability to challenge the way that you've looked at it and open up to new possibilities and new growth. And that's really positive for you right there. You also have Venus retrograde in Leo, which is happening in your 6th house. This is trying to help you kind of like reprioritize your day-to-day life. So how much time am I spending doing this versus that? Like how many responsibilities do I have? Do I want to manage my health this way? How am I managing my mind? How's my well-being? And if those things are not really like updating with the way that you've changed over the years, if you're still kind of doing the same habits as you did 3 years ago, you're a new person now. You've got new priorities. Your life has evolved and it's time to update those. And I did a whole video on this. If you haven't seen it, definitely check that out. But with this Venus retrograding squaring Uranus in the 3rd, like those priorities are being updated, but also your mindset needs to be updated. And so these things kind of go in tandem, although there is some tension here. Uranus in the 3rd, it's sometimes I feel like we can become very like distracted and we can get really caught up in our own thoughts that we might not even have like full energy or capacity to understand and like to sit and process what we actually need to in order to actually establish what those new priorities are. Wow, it's so hard to say that. I don't know why that was so hard to say. So beware of that. Beware of like being overly distracted to not sit with yourself. That's a message coming through for you. I also pulled the 3 of Swords, 3 of Wands in reverse, and the Knight of Swords. So the 3 of Wands, the 3 of Swords is like really feeling like your sadness, your emotions are sometimes getting the better of you, and it's causing delays with this 3 of Wands. It's causing you to play small or lack foresight, to not like expand. Like I really feel that you have that part of you doesn't want to release this old identity because the full moon the 12th can feel sometimes scary. And so if you're trying to release the identity and feelings like this come up and you're sad or you're scared or you're feeling a loss, then it can sometimes make you, with this 3 of Wands in reverse, feel like you need to not move forward. And, it can want like immediate relief, like, oh, because I feel this loss and I'm sad that this is leaving my life because I'm changing, that means I shouldn't do it. And I don't think that you guys, I think most of you probably do not think that way, but that's our like primitive mind. That's our lizard mind. That's like, oh, because I'm getting scared or sad about this loss, that means that I don't want to lose it and that I should stay. And that's actually not what that means. You can at the same time simultaneously feel that you want to move forward, that you want to grow, that you want to expand and try this new thing and become this new person. And again, simultaneously feel sad that you are losing an old identity. Just like when someone becomes a mom, nobody talks about how much grieving you go through when you become a mom. You're losing how free you are. You're losing this old identity. And so on one hand, you're excited because you have this new love of your life and it's a beautiful new chapter that you're grateful for. And on the other hand, it's also really sad because you're losing yourself in some ways and the way that you used to be. And that is what I'm seeing. Like there's both emotions here, but I think once you can finally reconcile that, I think you're going to move forward really, really quickly, and you'll be driven towards action and success and ambition. You'll be moving faster, thinking faster, and not letting things stop you. So let me read this butterfly card. I cannot remember if I read this already, but I'll just do it again if I haven't or have. It says, rebirth. You can reinvent yourself. Open to the rewards of change. Open to the rewards of change. Yes, I love that. You have a brilliance to share with the world. Love every part of your journey. I think that speaks for itself. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I hope that resonates. If so, please comment down below. I love to read your comments. They help me connect with you. They help my practice. I love to know who's on the other side of the screen. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowsbloom.com, which I'll link down in the description box down below. And I hope you have a great day.